What is going on, everyone? It is Thomas, and it's been a while since I've done a live stream like this, but I kind of got inspired last week and I had some free time, so I just thought I would dive into some statistics. I was reading a website called Broke Agent Media, which I read a lot to keep up on real estate news, and they posted an article basically talking about when you look at the national numbers, October might be the best time to purchase a home because of where inventory is at and then just where sellers' minds are at. So basically, it's sellers are motivated to sell before holidays / before winter, just because no one wants to deal with that extra stress. So a lot of sellers typically, as long as it's a market that has seasons, you will typically see a lot of sellers list either at the beginning of the summer, and I'll have stats to show you this, beginning of the summer or kind of late-ish fall, September, October is generally really, really popular. So inventory is decent at the time in October. And there's also moving related discounts when you're moving around this time of year. I don't see a lot of movers do discounts for seasonal, but they're less busy, so there's more movers available for you and stuff like that. It's easier to get contractors out to your house once it starts getting cold and stuff like that. Negatives just on the side of purchasing once you start getting into the late fall is we live in Iowa and weather can kind of be unexpected and just not good. There still isn't as much inventory as there is in the summer, which I'll show you stats with that too. And then there's just holiday stress. I mean, a lot of people just start to get stressed out around Christmas time. It's just kind of the way of life. So adding moving or selling around that time of year, it's just normally not very ideal. So this is what I think you guys will find most interesting, and I hope I don't ramble on and on, but I kind of wanted to show you some stats I pulled. So this is basically all homes sold through DMAR, so Des Moines Area Association of Realtors. It spreads decently far, but I kind of wanted to make it a wide sample size. If someone wants to talk to me about a specific city or town or suburb or whatever, definitely reach out to you and I can kind of talk to you about it. But for the most part, I wanted to get as much data as possible just to make sure that there wasn't any just weird things going on in that market that can make this. But basically, I looked at 4 stats. I looked at the median sold price point from the last 5 years of that month. So I looked at January 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, so on and so forth for that. And I looked at the median sales price for that month. I also looked at the median days on market, same thing, an average of the last 5 years. I looked at whether inventory gained or lost. So this would basically just be new listings that month versus homes that had accepted offers that month that so went pending, whether it was plus minus. So did we gain or lose inventory that much and by how much? And then I also looked at sold price divided by list. So what percentage off of list they get. So like 99.06% would be that the median majority of people got right around 99% of list price. And then I kind of color coded them as far as what I think buyers would be looking for, positive or negative. So dark green means that's an encouraging sign for a buyer, and then dark red means it's a discouraging factor for a buyer. So some things that you'll notice if you're worried about just what month of the year on average the median sales price seems to be the lowest, you're kind of looking at December, November, January, kind of right around there. Days on market, the longer days on market at acceptance would normally mean that the buyer probably got a good deal. It would normally mean that it's a seller that's willing to negotiate too. So I said longer days on market, it's probably more encouraging for a buyer. So if you're looking for that, it's kind of the same thing, kind of January, December. And then this is what's interesting though. If you're a buyer that's just concerned about how many homes are on the market, you probably actually want to look in July. It seems to be that's the month that gains the most inventory. So if you're just looking for legitimately, I want to have the most homes to look at, July is probably the best time to do that. The flip side of it, though, is sellers seem to get closest to list price in May, June, July. So that would kind of be something to keep in mind. It also seems to be like inventory goes a lot faster those months as well. So it kind of, I don't want to overanalyze it too much, but it kind of seems like it depends on what you want. If you literally um, want to work in a time of year where sellers seem to be the most willing to negotiate, quote unquote, you can get the most off of list price. Now, I will put in a disclaimer here: just because you get such and such off of list price doesn't necessarily mean you got a good deal on the home, because there's so many factors that go into the resale market that it could have just been overpriced to begin with. So if it was listed at 260, that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth 260. It could end up being that you got it for 230, but that could have just mean they should have listed it at 230. So there's a lot of factors that go into it like that. But um, the flip side of waiting until December and January to buy is it's also literally when it's the lowest inventory. There's just not a lot of homes on the market at that time to look at. And also, we live in Iowa. That's pretty much the dead middle of winter. So just realistically, it's kind of a bad time to move. I'll also say this too, anecdotally, I did not put this on the pros and cons. A lot of times what I run into in the winter, when you get an accepted offer on a home, you're going to do a home inspection. It is really, really hard to inspect the roof if there's snow on the roof. So you either have to come up with creative ways, like delaying the inspection timeline, or specifically delaying it just to say, hey, we want to wait until there's snow off the roof to look at the roof and make sure it's in good shape. Or a home inspector can always look up in the attic and see if there's signs of leaking and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I hope you guys find this information interesting. If you want me to send it to you in more of an Excel format so you can look at it a little bit more detailed, I can definitely do that. Just message me. But yeah, I hope you guys find this interesting. The one last disclaimer that I will put out here is timing the market is really, really not as important as discovering the right time for you personally to buy. I always, when people start talking about looking, I always am just kind of trying to figure out what they need, what they want, and what they can afford. And genuinely, at that point, once you get the pre-approval, it's more of just figuring out when that home is going to be available to you, because you can't really just in July, you can't just sit there and be like, well, October is the best time to buy, so I'm just going to wait till October and the home I want will be there. That's not necessarily true. If you know what you want and it's listed there in July and we figure out what the market value is, we should just go ahead and offer on it if it's within your budget, because the easiest way that people make money in real estate, if it's their primary home, is getting into a home that they can stay there for a long time. If there's one thing that you should learn from me, it is that purchase a home that is in your budget that you can see yourself living in for a long time. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great Friday. I know it's kind of raining right now, but have a great weekend. And thank you. I'll see you guys later.